I'd like to welcome everyone to the February 24th, 2023 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence, and our prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, and for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. A moment of silence, please. Our prayer, Mr. Pasquitti.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear thy voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give us strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right. And grant that we have a good conscience and a soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Please.
Councilperson DeCaro.
Here.
Councilperson De Palma.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Councilman Desai is absent. Councilman Garcia.
Here.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Here.
Councilperson Murphy.
Here.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Here.
Councilperson Walker. Here. Council President Sohar.
Here. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting. We're going to begin with presentations. Yes, and she's going to read our notice.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the official newspapers of the Township on January 6, 2023, and has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the Township Council will be held on Tuesday, March 14, 2023, at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you. Good evening.
Oh, you finished now, Council? Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We have a special presentation tonight. As you know, every 2 years? 2 years, the Township puts out a publication, Old Bridge Township, and it's really gotten really good over the last couple of years, the last couple of publications. And as in the past, we take the proceeds that are gained from that magazine for the advertising, and each time we select groups that would benefit from the proceeds. In the past, we've done the VFW, we've done other people in town. But tonight, we have Pat, a representative from Town Square Publications, and Stephen Mackis from my Office of Economic Development, who works very closely in getting this magazine out there to our businesses and participation. And this year, we have selected Camp Robin and our Municipal Old Bridge Alliance to receive the funds. So I'm going to hand it over to Steve, and he'll let Pat take the microphone, talk a little bit about it, and then we'd like to present the checks.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So this publication goes out, and we make about 5,000 copies of it. They go out throughout the community. This magazine encompasses the entire township, from our recreation to our churches, our houses of worship. Everything that accumulates in this town is in that magazine and represents it pretty well. Pat, as the representative, goes out, does the sales. The checks come directly to the organizations that the mayor and the administration select. So in this magazine, you all have a copy of it. This edition has what's called a map inside it. That map has every street inside the township. What happens is the businesses in town, as Pat goes around, and our community steps up and advertises in this magazine. So you'll see a lot of our businesses in there, from the hotel to the pizzerias to all of the healthcare organizations. So it's a wonderful magazine that showcases the town in the best light that anyone can get. We have them in the library. We have them here in the front of the municipal building and in my office. So, Pat, if you wanted to say a couple of words, we want to thank you for your hard work at this.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you.
I appreciate it. My name is Pat McGranahan. I'm the manager for Town Square Publications in New Jersey. We've been doing this magazine with Old Bridge for a number of years now, under the leadership of the mayor, the direction of Mr. Mamakis, and the help of Rosemary Rivoli to help us out, we've been able to reach out and touch a lot of folks. It's very well received, and the advertisers pay for all of this. There's no township money involved at all. There is some staff time, but no township cash at all. The money comes to us, and as part of the agreement these gentlemen worked out with me, we give a percentage back to the township to do with as they please. I do this in a lot of places, and a lot of the places that I do it with take the money and put it into a general fund. Not here. Here, the money is given directly from me to the organizations that deserve it. So this is the fun part of my job. We have 2 checks here, each in the amount of $2,575.95. Matt? Accepting on behalf of everyone is the Director of Parks and Recreation. Thank you, sir. These are yours, sir. Use them well.
So the 2 checks are for the Municipal Alliance?
They're for the Municipal Alliance and Camp Robin. And quite frankly, I know these organizations, and they are supremely worthy of giving money to and use it in only the best ways. It's what makes us most proud in our company that we're able to do this. And Old Bridge does it right. They give the money right to where it's needed, and that's the right thing to do. We thank you all for your business. Anybody, our advertisers, all thank you for the opportunity. One thing you can tell, how good is the magazine? 90% of the advertisers come back in year after year. So that's the best way I can answer the question. Thank you for your time. Nice to meet you all. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Good job.
Yeah. Oh, there's more. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't find that thing. I'm supposed to show you.
Good evening, everyone.
You ready?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, that was a great introduction on what we're here sitting here before you tonight. Thank you, Council. It's often said, and we hear it all the time in our lives, if it's not broken, don't never took attitude. We said that, and tonight we take that same approach here as we think we can do something better in this town. And the restructuring tonight that we're going to talk about, the Parks and Recreation here, is a result of providing better services to our residents and to the people that live here, work here, raise their families. And the programs that are going to benefit are Camp Robin and the Municipal Alliance. And with Anna having the additional oversight of two very important programs, as we have realized they are. We were at an event Friday night at the Elks, which recognized the accomplishments and what people can accomplish through the Camp Robin program. We all know what's going on in our town and other towns around the state with issues of addiction and how Old Bridge needs to be at the front. We need to be on the front lines fighting this for all our residents. And we think really good things are going to happen over the next few months with the Camp Robin and our Municipal Alliance. As you know, Anna has had oversight over the Senior Center, Silver Linings, and that program has been recognized at the national level, at the state level, and we expect the same things are going to happen now with Camp Robin and the Municipal Alliance. So what we are talking about, which we're going to be implementing over the next few months, is the restructuring of the Parks and Recreation Department and almost we are creating a social services department that will be under the direction of Anahita. Okay, so Anna and Matt, if you want to say a few words about what we're trying to accomplish, what we're going to accomplish, and how these programs are going to be improved with additional leadership.
Well, Council, thank you for having us here tonight. This will be introducing the Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department. Over the years, the term social services has meant many different things to many different people. When it was first established, the township did oversee all social services, such as food stamps, welfare, etc., for all of its residents. Most of these services have been rerouted to either the county or the state. The initial intent of social services has shifted over the years, and this shift should be reflected in the rebranding of our department.
Take this. Go ahead.
Got it. Thank you. So why community services? So the model of Parks and Recreation and Community Services is not a new concept. It's actually been used across the country and in New Jersey as well. We have some close towns in Middlesex County actually that use this terminology, one of those being North Brunswick. Parks and Recreation and Community Services, also I believe Plainsboro rather, also uses that term. A community services division under the Parks and Recreation umbrella would provide a clearer picture to our residents as to what is offered within our department. The community services division that we are looking to implement will look to develop and coordinate programs and services that meet the basic human needs and improve the quality of life of Old Bridge residents across their lifespan. Right now, the Parks and Recreation Department services residents from as young as 5 years old to as old as 100 years old with all abilities. So I think it's important to highlight that in the Community Services Division. It will manage and guide subdivisions whose mission will be to provide access to quality information, resources, services, and programs to enrich the lives of residents in the Old Bridge community.
In this next slide, we'll go over the current structure of the department. As you can see, as I know, the council members who were on a couple years ago when we came in, we gave our kind of State of the Union or State of the Address of our department. It showed not only council but the public how wide-ranging our umbrella is. I like to say that we are the biggest service provider in the township, and as you can see, the current status here is myself as the director, and then under the Parks and Recreation umbrella was Parks Maintenance, Park and Field Rental, Rec Programs, Half-Day Summer Camp, Ice Arena Operations, Municipal Alliance, and Camp Robin, and then there's the Before and After Care line, and then there's the Office on Aging, which is currently right now Silver Linings of Old Bridge and the Old Bridge Food Bank. If we go to the next slide, furthermore, the internal restructure of the department will show Silver Linings, Food Bank, Camp Robin, and Municipal Alliance now all falling under the Community Services Division. We feel this will allow for better oversight and growth of these subdivisions. Under the guidance of an Assistant Director of Community Services, special attention will be given to Camp Robin and Municipal Alliance to further grow and reach in the community. And all this organizational chart shows is the Camp Robin program and the Municipal Alliance program moving from under the Parks and Recreation portion of the department over to the Community Services portion of the department, with Before Care and After Care still staying pat where it is.
So obviously, one of the goals of the Community Services Division of the Parks and Recreation Department is going to be to work on this restructuring this year and rebranding, and also developing the growth of these two programs, especially Camp Robin and Municipal Alliance. I know that under community services, you may think, well, that's not recreation, it's 100% recreation. Recreation, socialization, services, vital services all fall kind of under the same umbrella. One of our main goals, however, for 2023 is going to be to implement a no wrong door policy. And that's actually a policy that we're going to look to put across the entire department and not just in this division, which would streamline access to local, state, and federal services and programs that are available for residents. The concept of the no wrong door approach is one that we actually currently use at the Senior Center and the Food Bank, and it stems from the Administration for Community Living's NWD system of providing a centralized gateway to social and community services and programs to address the need of all its residents. So this is a national system that's being used at the federal level, and also the state uses it at the Division of Aging as well. So this is not uncommon. Our already established partnership that we have with the state, with the Office on Aging and Disabled Services, both at the state and county level, will ensure that everyone is assisted, whether by us specifically or by being directed to the right door. It doesn't matter if you come to us. If we don't have the solution, we will find you the solution, and we will get you to the people and the place that will have a solution for you. This will allow for residents to continue to age well and in place here in Old Bridge.
Up next is our 2023 restructure timeline. Q1, we are here now presenting our proposed restructure plan to the administration and council. Q2 would be to implement the formal plan for restructuring of the divisions, beginning the transition of responsibilities to the Assistant Director of Community Services. Q3 would be to develop a public relations plan to roll out restructuring to the community. And Q4 would be work on meeting the goals that we're setting for 2023 and establishing the 2024 goals and objectives for the Community Services Division. And our last slide is our new mission statement. Old Bridge Township Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department creates and enhances the quality of life for Old Bridge residents by providing a diverse and inclusive array of programs, services, and recreational facilities. Our mission is to enrich our community through recreational opportunities and vital services.
Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you all.
Questions, comments?
Yes. Hi, how are you? Great presentation, thank you. Can you go back to the slide? I think it was the second page of the org chart, because I couldn't really see it yet. That one, yeah. So the only concern that I have is that Camp Robin is essentially a rec program, correct?
Everything that we offer in Parks, Recreation, and Community Service is
Right.
in terms a rec program.
I understand. But so what I'm concerned about is that you're, one of the things about our special education in Old Bridge is that we were trying to move towards inclusion. And I know you just used the word inclusion in the last slide, so I know that you definitely agree with that. And I'm concerned that the students, the differently abled students that will be at Camp Robin are the same ages as the kids that are going to be in the rec program, typically abled kids, right? And those two things are now under two different headers. And it seems to me like that's not inclusionary for those children. Do you know what I mean? I understand that it's being placed where you feel it would be most successful. But being involved with, the special needs community for as long as I have, and speaking to our special education PTA and our special education parent advisory group, the one word that comes out of that is inclusion, keeping all of the kids together. So that's my only concern with this. If you can.
Looking to continue the exact programs that we run and grow on what we offer and even be more inclusive than we've been in the past, regardless of a term or maybe how it looks on an organizational chart.
Okay. So if.
There'll be no exclusion.
No.
Child will be excluded from any program based on a flow chart.
Right. Well, this is the first time I'm seeing.
Concern.
Sure, I'm seeing the presentations for the first time, so I need time to absorb it. So I have to have these. I'm not going to see you guys again. So that is my only concern. If a parent has a child in Camp Robin and if a parent has a child in the rec program now, and I'm not sure, but now do they have to go to two different?
Our registration portal.
It's all the same. Okay.
Everything is exactly the same, where you can get our information. And I mean, that's also something that we can do when we're doing our public relations rollout, is kind of educate everybody on that and what our plans are to grow, and that it's not, you know, right now the senior center uses the same registration portal that we use. Our entire department uses the same registration portal, and we share information throughout, even for before care and after care. So the whole department is already on that registration portal. We are one department. This is not to divide. This is actually, the hope is to unify and use everybody. You know, that is an organizational chart. Our organizational chart, you know, our parks maintenance division has always helped out in before care and after care, has always helped out at Camp Robin and Municipal Alliance and Senior Center. So there's a lot of positive cross-contamination that we thrive on and that we need for any program to succeed, whether that be Camp Robin or Municipal Alliance or our general rec programs, our ice arena, our food bank, everything.
And what are the things that you're going to do to improve Camp Robin? Do you have an idea of what those are going to be right now? Is that something for tonight, or is that something for another night?
That's not something for this evening. We are working on many things, but we're not going to really roll those out until we cross this hurdle.
And have you sat down with our large special needs community, the parents, SEPTA and CPAC, and people like that too?
We have not sat down with parents. I sat down with staff. Like I said, I don't see it optically from the outside, from a user standpoint, looking and feeling that much different from a registration standpoint or from a delivery standpoint. At this time, I see it improving drastically over the next year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have a question on my left? Anyone on my right? Okay, all right. Presentation, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
guys.
Thank you. Next will be our bill list. Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, February 28th, 2023, $21,726,640.34. Payroll, February 17th, 2023, $1,213,260.67. Payroll overtime, February 17th, 2023, $17,476.48. That concludes the bill list.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pischetti. Mr. Shaw, can we have a breakdown of the overtime, please?
Yes, Council President, thank you. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the overtime for this pay period was $17,476.48. There was an uptick in the Finance Department as for the budget preparation. For the Police Department, the total overtime for sworn officer was $9,864.28. Deduct grant, $1,500.40. Deduct ETO, $2,373.20. Net overtime was $5,990.68, representing 95 men and women hours. There were 3 officers injured on duty or on light duty. That concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. We'll go to roll call, please.
Roll call vote on the approval of the bill list. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai is absent. Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses.
Public hearing of ordinances for second reading. H1, release of performance guarantees, DMK Development. Old Bridge LLC, Tractor Supply Company, Block 22000, lots 21 and 22-1976, Englishtown Road, -06-18P, carried from 2/14/23 council meeting. Good evening, Mrs. Shapiro.
Good evening. Thank you, Council President. This was an application called DMK Development, Old Bridge LLC. It was an application in front of our planning board in 2018 for a Tractor Supply Company. The application or the property is located on Englishtown Road, south of Texas Road, very close to the Woodhaven Village community. The DMK Development had constructed a 19,097 square foot, one-story Tractor Supply building and supporting infrastructure. The bonded site improvements included circulation driveways, parking areas, drainage, stormwater management, also lighting and landscaping improvements. The total performance guarantee on the project was $27,960, of which in the form of a bond was $25,164, and in the form of that 10% cash, $2,796. There have been no previous reductions on the performance guarantee, and we have inspected the site. Everything is in accordance to the approved plans. We also noted that as of today, we haven't received any complaints based on the notice that was provided by the applicant. And we just asked that, subject to a release, that we ask that the applicant pay any outstanding escrow fees. And of course, this is a private development, so there are no maintenance bonds on this application. Any improvements to County Route 527 would be bonded with the county. Recognizing to my right the attorney for DMK Development, and he could introduce himself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Damian Del Duca. I'm the attorney for the applicant with the law firm of Del Duca, Lewis & Burr. Thank you.
Okay, and are you on
We're in
board
agreement
with
the
this?
conditions stated by Ms. Shapiro.
Okay. Well, yes. Counsel, anyone on my left a question for the gentleman? Anyone on my right? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy.
Yes, where was that located?
County Route 527, Englishtown Road.
Okay,
Tractor
yes,
Supply.
it's my ward. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone on the right? No? Okay. I will open it up now to the public. Is there anyone here in the public who wishes to be heard on this H1? Seeing no hands, I'll close the public portion and I'll ask for a motion.
Motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Murphy, second by Dr. Greenberg.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli? Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker? Yes. Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
Thank you. Have a good evening. H2, ordinance to establish the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank, NJSA 440A:4-45.14. Anyone from the council? Mr. Shaw?
Yes, Council President. This is the ordinance, the customary that we do every year under that, what we call a toolbox, where we're establishing the bank to go up to 3.5% versus the normal 2%. I don't know, Dawn, what was it? 2.5% this year under the state law, but we can take the steps to go up to 3.5%. We're below the cap bank, but and you'll see in the presentation, I will explain in detail, but this steps is necessary so that we can reserve any access for the future years, just in case we needed to exceed the appropriation cap. So there are two caps, a levy cap and appropriation cap. This ordinance specifically deals with appropriation cap and the banking mechanism.
Okay. Anyone? No? Okay. Seeing no hands, I'll open it to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on H2? Seeing no hands, I will close public portion, and I will ask for a motion.
Move it. Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pasquini.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquini?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
H3, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge repealing and replacing Chapter 5, Article 36 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Golf Course Utility.
Thank you, Council President. This is, I think we discussed at the length of the state, we already have a golf course utility in place. The golf course should open this year. And when we wanted to establish the golf course utility budget, the state requested that we reintroduce this ordinance. So it's basically repeat of the current ordinance. It just replaced the old one, established a new one as of this year.
Anyone in the council have a question? Okay, I'll open it to the public. Is there anyone here that'd like to be heard on H3? Seeing no hands, close the public portion. I will ask for a motion.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquini?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
H4, ordinance providing funding for various park improvements for the Township of Old Bridge and appropriating $2,472,000 for such purpose.
Council President, this is the bond ordinance established the funding for our parks improvement. Cottrell Farm, Geik Park, and Menino Park, all three will share these funds that we have received from federal government under our program. So there is no borrowing. This is purely the funding coming from the grants.
Okay, thank you. Anyone from council have a question? Okay, I'll open it to the public. Anyone wish to be heard on H4? Close the okay. Mhm. Okay. C1 has no public.
C1 doesn't have public comment.
No, consent agenda.
Well, no, you'll speak on the ordinance for the ordinance. So the question,
H4.
right, the questions is relative to H4. That's what the public comments for.
Right. Okay.
So while you're putting a big funding towards this, one of the things that you're putting funding towards is the turf, right? Turf, the fake turf, the artificial turf. And I'm concerned about this. I love the idea that you're doing work on our parks. Nobody in this room would probably disagree with you. But this is my problem. Menino Park is going to have artificial turf, and there's known public concerns over the, you can hear me, right?
I believe so.
Okay. I forgot to say my name. I apologize.
Yeah.
Nina Jochnowitz, West Greystone Road.
Okay.
Okay? Old Bridge. There's been known toxicology. Oh, can you not hear me?
Still no good?
Do you want me to use one of these little ones? Doesn't matter. It's so much easier to sit down. So my name. Hello? Do you hear me?
We can hear.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. So anyway, one of the things I'm concerned about is that the artificial turf has toxins in it. It's known to have BPAs and POS and all these artificial, these, oh, yes, sorry. Is it? Oh, God, okay. You'd think that my voice was loud enough anyway, but I apologize. What I'm concerned about is that while I really love the idea that you're doing this and putting out money for these parks, I'm concerned about the choice of solutions. And that's because, as it's been stated by the EPA and the CDC, to avoid any contact, mouth contact with the play surfaces, including mouthing, chewing. Of course, we hope the kids are not going to be chewing the grass. But that said, it is also stated to avoid food and drinking beverages while directly on these play surfaces, washing your hands after contact with these these grass, to limit the time on the rubber surface playgrounds and artificial turf fields on very hot days. Of course, that's when we would probably be out there, not the hottest days, of course. You have to clean your hands after being exposed to these surfaces. And while I really love the idea, again, of having our parks updated, I'm wondering if we could be better suited just putting in the same kind of turf that we would be putting into the golf course. We already are ordering so much of that. Why don't we just resurface with that? And while I'm just saying that this is a problem. And while I would love you to think about it, I know this is not completely H4, but while you're talking about the funding, maybe you want to reconsider where the source of the funding is going. Thank you very much.
Nina, can you fill out the form for me, please? Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there any?
Microphone's on also down there.
Okay. Is there any? Okay. All right. Is there anyone else here to speak on H4 from the public? Seeing no hands, I'll close public portion.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
I don't know what the chemicals and stuff, I don't know anything about that, but I know the little black things get in a lot of the people's eyes. I see it happen on other fields and everything. So I'm going to abstain.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
7 yeses, 1 abstention.
H5, ordinance amending Chapter 457 of the Township Code entitled Trees and Invasive Species. Good evening again, Mrs. Shapiro. Another hat.
President, please recall at the last meeting, we had discussed the changes to the ordinance. One specifically what.
It's on.
It's on the screen.
I don't want to be too close. I don't want to be too far. Can you hear me? So we had discussed revisions to the tree ordinance last meeting. Specifically, we were talking about in the definitions, the tree escrow trust fund. We were actually adding a line there to allow us to buy equipment so we can maintain the trees in town, something akin to like a bucket truck or something for DPW to get out there and actually utilize our tree trust fund for the purchase of equipment. And then there was a section, 457-10, that discussed how we could try and sort of soften or alleviate some of the pressure that our residents are feeling when we talk about tree removal on their property. And what we had done was we had expanded and said if you have a property that is in an acre in size or less, that you would still require to fill out a tree removal permit application so that we could just verify that there are no environmental constraints on your property or no easements or restrictions on your property. And then with that, we would then give you the go-ahead or the permit to then remove trees without the replacement fees and then without replanting stipulations on that. And then, of course, if you're over an acre, there's stipulations in there that have already been in there from prior years. So those are the changes. We had discussed it at the last meeting. I believe this is second reading tonight. Yep. So if you have any questions, I'm here for that.
Right. Anybody on my left? Mr. Murphy?
Yes, what is, I don't know if you even know this, what's the estimate or the cost of the equipment you have to get?
I'm not sure. I mean, we don't have specific.
But you use that thing anyway.
Like a bucket truck?
Yeah.
Hello, Council. Like Nicole had stated, we don't have any specific equipment picked out. This is just for future growth. Like, the
That's good
township
enough.
was able to purchase a new chipper a
enough.
few years ago.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, good, Mr. Murphy? You good? Okay, anyone else on my left? No? Okay, anyone on my right? Mrs.
I
Walker?
just have a comment. I think this is a good thing because I have received numerous complaints over the years about, they don't mind getting the permit, but the fact that they have to replace, they said, I'm taking down a tree, I don't want to add trees, and then I'll have to pay to take it down again. So I know that we had good intentions when we first did this ordinance, that we didn't want the developers coming in and wiping all the trees off, but it was really affecting the residents, and I really think this is a really good change we're making. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sure, Mr. Garcia?
Dead tree or live tree, though, it doesn't matter.
Either way, you should submit a tree removal permit application, whether it's dead or alive, just so we could see.
No, my question is, so you're allowed to submit an application if the tree is alive?
Yes.
I thought before it had to be a dead tree to have.
No, alive is fine.
Gotcha, okay.
You know, if you have an acre, you're permitted to remove the trees
Gotcha.
without the replacement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? No? All right. I'll open it to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on H5? Okay, seeing no hands, I'll close public and I'll ask for a motion.
Move it. I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Mrs. Walker.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, consent agenda will be next. I will ask for a motion and a second, and then we'll ask for council separations.
Move it. Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. De Palma.
Councilperson DeCaro, any items for separation?
C1 and C2, we can move them together if that's possible.
Councilperson De Palma, any items for separation?
No, thank you.
Councilperson Garcia?
I have none, thank you.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
No, thank you.
Councilperson Murphy?
No, thank you.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
No separations, thank you.
Councilperson Walker?
No, thank you.
Council President Sohar?
C8,
C8. So we're going
the balance
to
will
take
make,
a motion
right.
for the
We have a mo-
balance.
right.
Motion and a second, okay. So on a motion and a second for the balance of the consent agenda, items 3 through 7.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
Okay, C1 and C2, Mrs. DeCaro.
Yeah, they kind of go together. So I guess my question is, going back to H4 with the park improvements, $2,472,000, and that is separate from the $5,446,491 for the turf. Am I saying?
The funding, this is an award of the contract, the bid. The funding source is, yes, $2,472,000 is needed to award this, but there are previously funded ordinance in place that will make up the amount needed to award the actual contract.
Okay, so that this is the $2 million is the difference.
$2,400,000 is going to be used in all 3 parks. Part of that money will be applied towards this award. But council has already previously authorized ordinances that are in place that will be used to fund that, and as well as some of the grants is available to fund this particular award.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, you're good? Now, can we make a motion together, Mark, or do we do the, okay, so you're all set? You want to make a motion? Okay.
Councilperson DeCaro?
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. DeCaro, second by Mrs. Walker.
Roll call vote on C1 and C2. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
Okay, next will be C8. The reason why I separated it is the resolution accepting Old Bridge Township 5-year annual road resurfacing program. And I just wanted to highlight it because I know people are very concerned about the roads, the condition of roads, and it's something that everyone has an investment in. So I just wanted to say thank you again. That was a long process for, it was a lot of work on all your part to get and put that together and make sure that it's done the right way. And I think that we are investing a good chunk of money into this program, and it's important because people do value the roads. And hopefully, as we go on this year and the following year, you'll start to see more and more of the roads that need addressing being addressed. So this list is great.
And Council President, just so everybody is aware, www.oldbridge.com/projects. The presentation is there if anybody wants to view it. I know people have contacted us and said, but what about my road and what about my road? And I just want everybody to know there's a lot of work by the utility companies. We partner with them. There's so many roads that are going to be done. That listing is just township responsibility. It does not include NJDOT local aid. It doesn't include CDBG-funded road reconstruction. Any of our partnering with Old Bridge Municipal Utilities Authority, with PSE&G, and with JCP&L, and then also with, not JCP&L, with New Jersey Natural Gas. So just know that there are a lot of roads, and this time next year, I think we're going to see a lot done in Old Bridge Township.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad you said that about the presentation, because I did have people call and ask, where am I on the list and what's going on? And then if they have further questions, they can contact the engineering department as far as getting an explanation for where you are in the road ranking. So I'll make a motion.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Murphy.
Yes, at the last meeting, you had said you put them pretty much in order of how they were going to be done, the roads by what they needed, how they needed to be done and everything. And you listed a couple. Can I get a copy of that list? Sure. Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
This way, if anybody has a question, you have the answer for how the rankings go. Okay, so I made a motion. You're welcome. I made a motion for C8 and the second.
Second.
Okay, second, Mrs. Walker.
Roll call on item number C8 on the agenda. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Councilperson Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses.
Discussion item, rezoning of Oaks 1 development, general development plan. Just hopefully.
Good evening, Council, again.
Good evening. Good
We come
evening.
before you, I'll give a little background tonight. This is in regards to a project that was approved probably about 25 years ago. It's the Oaks. It's currently under construction on the southbound side of Route 9. We come before you tonight, and we ask that the VINA be allowed to rezone that area to improve upon what was approved 25 years ago. Times have changed, markets have changed, designs have changed, and we're looking for some, I guess I'm going to say, to make it better, to make something that was approved so many years ago, make it work for the town here in 2023. VINA has been working very diligently with the developer, who also wants to change. It does not want to build a product that was designed and was maybe marketable 25 years ago. Things have changed. So VINA, if you would take us through step by step what was approved back in, I guess it was 97 or 90, it was 2000, but the project was going on during the 90s before we finally, the Bernetti, I'll say the Bernetti 2000. It was a concept that was going to be used along Route 9, north and southbound, approximately 10,000 homes. And it was a concept now that we've changed. We are definitely not building 10,000 homes on both the north and southbound sides of Route 9. So Vina, if you would please, we have a presentation to make. And it's important for both the town and the developer because this is part of our affordable housing settlement, this development also.
So, good evening, Councilman. So, I have been coming in front of the council and I've been talking about these GDPs. We have two of them, Woodhaven and Oaks Development. And the challenge with them is they were written 30 years back. And the design, the site plans, the amenities that were provided are quite outdated. So I started off with Woodhaven, and while I was looking at Woodhaven last year, an application was filed for an amended GDP for the Oaks development. Now, just a little bit of history with Oaks development. They were allowed, based on the court settlement, 1,384 units, of which 256 units are single-family homes, which are currently being developed by K. Hovnanian. The remainder portion, which is the multi-family rentals, they are being developed by MBM. And MBM came and filed an application for an amendment. When I looked at the application, it kind of made sense in terms of what they were asking for initially, which was the original GDP had all the rentals distributed as quadruplexes. So they were quads, 4 units each, and then the apartments were in a building with 8 to 20 units. When they first explained that we want to move away from the quads because it's a style of the 80s, and we want to do townhouses style apartments or townhouse style rentals, which are a cluster of 6 to 8 units, it made sense. And this, what you have in screen, so I'll walk you through what was originally approved and what was proposed last year and how we have brought in a change with what is being currently proposed. So on the screen, this first half, this is Route 9. This first half year, this is the commercial, which is being developed by Regency. The remainder, right here along the periphery, are the single-family homes that are being developed by Hovnanian. Right along Astor Circle or in the center and this whole area are the quads and the 8 to 20 unit apartment buildings. This is the old GDP.
I think you're pointing there, but I don't believe the council can see here that same pointer, right? You might
I
wanna-
can't, but I'll have to, I can't do it. This is.
You can't put the mouse up there?
Is, okay.
Okay. All right. If you counsel, if you don't mind, because it's, when she's using pointer, I saw you all trying to figure out and.
So basically, this was something 30 years back. It was when you had vacant land, you could come in, a developer could come in and create a general development plan for an area, which would include the residential, chime in if I miss something. It would have the residential, it would have all the amenities, the public improvements, everything that have a successful development. In this case, it was commercial and residential. So it was mixed use in its own way, but with commercial along Route 9 and the residential was further up. The way it was laid out is closer to the commercial was apartments or the higher density, and as you moved further up was the low density. So when the GDP was written, they didn't have categories such as single-family homes, apartments, townhouses, stacked townhouses. It was more to do with low-medium density, high-medium density, and that's how they were categorized. And this was what was approved. There was a developer's agreement that was crafted. The developer's agreement was very specific in terms of the phasing, the contribution, the improvements, the roadways. Everything was laid out. So it was a very comprehensive document. This is the original layout. And as I said, the multi-family rentals were all clustered in this area. They were all in form of quads with 4 units each. And around this area, right here, were the 8 to 20 unit apartment buildings. Last year, when MPM came in an application for an amended GDP, this is what it looked like. So the quads, I'll focus on this later, this part which is closer to Regency, but when it comes to the quads, they changed. They kept Ginger Lane, what was along Ginger Lane, because it was tied to the COs for the single family homes for Hovnanian. So they retained these homes because some of them are affordable units. But then these buildings, which were originally quads, now changed to 6 to 8 unit townhouse style apartments. And all of this was again changed to 6 to 8 units. What amazed me or shocked me was this area. These were apartment style, garden style apartment buildings, which had 8 to 20 units. And when I asked them what was this color coding, they said they're all affordables. And I'm like, this was supposed to be inclusionary housing. How is this inclusionary to me? You're segregating the affordable units and putting all of them in the apartments. This is not acceptable to the town. Why do you have so many of them? I called them barracks at the meeting. They were seriously offended by that word. But to me, they looked like barracks, and there was no open space. When I questioned them, why do you have to do garden-style apartment? Because that is the style of the 80s. Nobody builds garden-style apartments now. Why can't you go higher? And they said, we are tied with the GDP, and we cannot go beyond 2 stories. And that's when I spoke to the mayor, Himanshu Mort, that what if, anyways, I was looking at Woodhaven, I was looking at Hovnanian to get rid of the GDP, rezone these and have standards, because they don't really have bulk standards. So why not allow higher story, get more open space, reduce the impervious coverage, and have the developer integrate the affordable units into the entire development, not just have them clustered right here. At the same time, we were working with Regency. So now we knew that the commercial component was being developed. So instead of having just one access and connection to the commercial component, why not have pedestrian walkways that directly take you to the shopping center? And then while we were doing that, we were like, if these are going to be apartments, there are no amenities here. There is a central amenity, and that was part of the developer's agreement, that there would be a clubhouse, there would be a recreational component to it. But what about the apartments here? There was nothing proposed. So we worked with the developer and created, so I'll show you a comparison. I'll focus on the apartment area first. These are the apartments. What you see in yellow are the market rate, and the bluish purple are the affordable units. And this is what we have come up with now, which has more open space. There is right here, we have a tot lot. We've required the developer to put in a dog park. We require him to put in a basketball court. The most exciting, the tennis courts, which were located at the clubhouse, will now be pickleball courts. And he had proposed that he will just remove the tennis courts and have pickleball, but then we insisted that this area needs to have basketball court, because if there are kids, they should have that amenity as well. What you see right here is, and I'll take you to the next page because that's a better, yes. Right here, these are connections. So when Regency was being developed, we had required Regency to put a pedestrian connection here so that these residences, the residents can directly walk and reach the commercial. At some point, if this area gets developed too with non-residential, it'll be like a hub with all the retail activity, and people should be able to walk to these stores. The same way, on the other side, although this side of the commercial component is yet to be finalized, we did require him to have a pedestrian connection here. the parking lots were centrally located so that you don't see a sea of parking. There will be ample landscaping around. And the 4-story, so all these buildings would be 3 stories. All these around here would be 3 stories. The only 4-story buildings would be these 4, so that it creates like a boulevard kind of an effect when you enter the residential area. These buildings would also have the rental office. They would have other amenities on the ground floor so that it adds to the architecture. They did provide us with some architectural, some elevations, which I'm not too wow about, but we still have to work on them. We still have to finalize the details of it. But this is what has come out of the apartment section. This is the overall GDP. This is how it would look. These highlighted areas are actually tot lots or recreational areas, and you'll see there's more open space created now with the new design everywhere. There are multiple tot lots and multiple rec areas. This is the clubhouse where you'll have pickleball courts. This gray area which you see is actually parking, but we did talk, and when an ordinance is written, we will ensure that there is a landscape berm that screens the parking area. So as you enter, you don't see a sea of parking at that intersection right here. The last, the change that comes in with all these, with the higher buildings or the different style is the additional bedrooms, because when the original GDP was crafted, the only 3 bedrooms that were allowed at that time were actually the ones that COA required, because UHAC required a certain amount of affordable units to be 3 bedrooms. So at that time, there were 24 3-bedroom units. The rest, most of them, was 2 bedrooms, but I just found out, and I did not get to speak to Mark about it, some of the 2 bedrooms, actually 50% almost, were 2 bedrooms with dens. So there were 2 bedrooms, and there were 2 bedrooms with den. So although here we see that the bedroom count has increased significantly, we also have to keep in mind that with the original GDP, there were 2-bedroom units, and then were 2-bedroom with dens, because, I mean, I live in a community that has dens. Over a period of time, people do convert it and make it into a 3-bedroom and advertise it as 3 bedrooms. But this is the main change. So with the previous GDP, there were 114 1-bedroom units, 916 2-bedroom units, which includes 2 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms with dens, 3-bedroom, which is 26 units. With the amended GDP, what has changed is now from 114, the 1-bedroom count has gone to 154. The 2-bedroom units have reduced significantly from 916 to 298. And the 3-bedroom units, the 26 units, which were actually COA units, now we have 604 3-bedroom units, which has a mix of affordable and market rate units. The one thing I want to highlight is when the GDP was approved, they were approved of 1,384 units. The proposal now is for 1,312 units. So there is a reduction in the total number of units overall. The affordable units remain the same. There is no change in the bedroom mix as well as the total number of bedrooms. And I think these are the building elevations. They are from elsewhere where they have done projects. This is the 3-bedroom building, and this is the 4-story building, and the previous one was the 3-story building. And again, I said I'm not wow about it, but I haven't reached the stage where I can, talk about the architectural. I think first we need to work on the ordinance, and then in the ordinance lay out the design standards that are more acceptable to us.
Council, and with negotiating with the developer, with these changes, obviously, we asked for some return also with the additional bedrooms. They will be contributing more in taxes. This is not a pilot program, so the other taxing agencies will be benefiting from the increased bedrooms, increased value of the project. But above and beyond that, we were able to have the developer contribute to the town for every CO that he's granted, $3,000 to a recreational/open space fund, that money would come to the town, so the rest of the residents in the town would benefit from what we're allowing this developer to do with this change. So $3,000 per unit, I guess it's $3.156 million would be coming to the township to use for recreational facilities around the town that these people will also be using as they live here. The Mino Park, Cottrell House, so we believe it's the right thing to do, as opposed to going back to the original GDP, digging in and saying, no, we're not changing. We get a product that doesn't fit in today. We've seen what happens when you have these garden apartments. And we believe, and maybe Mark can jump in, that the developer does have legal recourse should he go to the court and get the additional bedrooms. I believe it did it in Hamilton, that he went and proved that the product he was building was outdated, similar to what they use when they go for age restricted, and prove they can't sell them as age restricted. They get them to be market rate.
I don't know the particulars of Hamilton, but I wouldn't comment because maybe they weren't ably as represented as you would be. But that being said,
I don't think we have anything to gain by making him build what was approved.
I think
in the 90s.
that being said, I think the issue becomes, if you go back, you wanted Vina to finish, but just understanding a general development plan, and that's what a GDP is something that's permitted under municipal land use law. And typically what it does, it allows the developer to basically lock in a development for 30 years. That's the length of the GDP. So unfortunately, when they were locking in these GDPs, because this isn't the only one, Vina had also said there's others that they didn't create standards. So bulk standards, right? Typically size of a lot, distance between houses, side yard setbacks, front yard setbacks, those types of things. So what ended up happening is that, and these GDPs were, the underlying zoning didn't necessarily help either. So what ended up happening is Vina would have to borrow from what was most like being built on a density basis and use those standards. And in reviewing that, that creates, it ended up creating, in which the development where they come for the variances all the time. Yeah, well, where residents, in order to put up a fence or a deck or anything, always have to come up and get a variance because these standards were not created. So in this instance, because the developer approached the township, recognizing that, yeah, this GDP was approved, it was litigated. Many of the things that are in the developer's agreement were actually mandated by the court, and actually the developer's agreement was actually prepared by the special master at the time. And that was the agreement that the town had to use. So there wasn't too much leeway. Now, so you had basically an approval that was locked in for many years without standards, and that didn't fit today's market. I understand that. And obviously when a developer develops, they want to develop a product. And the township wants a product that's worthwhile, that's something that's going to be utilized and that can be sold, so it doesn't remain vacant. It is an inclusionary development, as Vina had said. So from that perspective, it also, I think what Vina tried to do, and what we always do with all our developers, is to make inclusionary developments inclusionary. And as you can see, as Vina showed, what was approved initially certainly that wasn't the case. So you have a more modern product, you have a more inclusionary product, you have a product that has more green space, more open space, more amenities that were available to the residents who live there. And I think those are things at the end of the day, because this is an inclusionary development, that we were able to use as leverage against the developer, saying, hey, if you want these things, because it's inclusionary, I'm sure these are things that Fair Share would support us in. Let's work together to come up with a plan that works. With respect to the the additional negotiation, we would amend the redevelopers agreement to include the contribution for other recreational and open space, and because it's in the developers agreement, that's permissible. Typically, you can't do that as a condition, but since it's a negotiated agreement, it would be included in that. So I think at the end of the day, rather than going and having to litigate, it always makes sense to come up with a product and a development that's beneficial and that the towns can support, is proud of. Not knowing, I don't know how obviously litigation's always is a toss up, and so now we have something that we're controlling again. I always say I like to control the process, right? Let's control the process. Let's put together a product that the town can be proud of, the developer will ultimately be proud of, even though they come grudgingly sometimes, but we'll be proud of, and that we can utilize, and that obviously you can see it's not a finished product, but as you can see, it's a lot better than what was proposed initially. Being has done a yeoman's job in getting that far together with the mayor and Amanchu. And so, I think to your point, Mayor, litigation's always a risk, but now you're able to work with a developer who has shown an ability to move forward and come up with a plan that I think that we can support. And I think the necessity of changing these GDPs, because this is not going to be the only one, because again, we have these tools that, and it's one of those things where I don't know what the legislature was thinking, but, a 30-year locking in approval is just kind of crazy, right? So, and then you're usually stuck with the mess, and you have to clean up the mess. And so this is a little bit of a mess that we're cleaning up and trying to make it better so that, again, I always say from a planning perspective, and I used to say, when people drive by, you want them to say, boy, were they thinking. You don't want them to say, boy, what were they thinking, right? I mean, and there's a difference. Same words, but there's a difference. And I think that's the goal here, to create developments that people can say 20 years from now, 30 years from now, boy, weren't they thinking. And so, I think this accomplishes that goal.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the council who has questions? Mrs. DeCaro.
Yes, hi, great presentation, thank you so much. 2 questions. Just to go over the affordable units again, so they are no longer being segregated into, they're going to be dispersed among all of the apartments?
Yes, they will be dispersed throughout the development, not just.
That was my next question. Okay, was it just?
They will be dispersed throughout the apartment, and that was like the sticking point, because otherwise we are not really creating an inclusionary housing.
Exactly. Okay, that was my first. Second question is, okay, so you have a reduction in the number of units, but an increase in the number of bedrooms.
That's correct.
Right. So increase in the number of bedrooms, increase in the number of the 3-bedroom units, as opposed, you went to the 3-bedroom instead of the 2-bedroom. So that says to me, families, kids, okay. What, if any, did you consider the impact of like the school? Was there any kind of, can you bring me through that?
So here's the thing. With the 2-bedroom units, because that was my concern too, traffic was my concern, overall, like community impact, right? So the one thing to note is that although the bedroom mix is changing, the one thing we have to keep in mind that out of the 900 2-bedrooms which were originally approved, not all of them, they were not purely 2-bedrooms. 400 of them were 2-bedrooms with dens. So you have that additional room. Most of the times that gets converted into an additional bedroom. The other thing to keep in mind is that, yes, the bedroom count is going up, but the total number of units is going down, because the original was 1384, now it's lesser. This was a last minute thing that I was running the numbers to see, what are the school kids, or is there an impact? We planners usually rely on the Rutgers multipliers. There were multipliers that were created in 2006. Those multipliers were kind of outdated, so they generated a higher requirement when it came to rental apartments, 3 bedrooms. In 2018, recognizing that those were, overstating the school kids, there was a new study conducted. In 2018, there were new multipliers that came in. And the new multipliers, like for 3 bedrooms, had a lower count. So when you take all that into effect, I'm not saying there will be no additional school kids. There will be additional school kids because now we have more bedrooms. But we have to keep in mind that there were already 2 bedrooms with dens in the original approval. The multipliers have changed on paper as well as in reality, because how many rental apartments units do we see with like 3 or 4 kids? So that's something to keep in mind. But I still have to do a thorough analysis, but at some point I will have those numbers as well.
Good. Okay, anyone else on my left for Mr. De Palma?
Great work as always, Vina. Thinking out for the future. I know we've been on the planning board a number of years and redevelopment before that. We kind of see a lot of these projects that kind of come out of the woodworks after 20 plus years, and they're very dated. They don't really meet the need of the community and what the future community would be. And I think this is a great step forward into kind of not segregating anybody, kind of putting everyone throughout the development. So excellent work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone on my right? Mrs. Walker?
It's just a sin that we're stuck with developments that were approved 30 years ago and they don't longer fit into Old Bridge. I know a lot of people are complaining, and we're saying we didn't approve these, but I think you're making the best of a bad situation and making it better. I know you're increasing the bed units, but you're reducing the amount of units. It's much prettier than the original, like you said, the barrack-style apartments. And I think it's just I think it's going to be a much improved than the first version. And thank you for all your hard work. I know you put a lot into this.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Garcia, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. Fina, good job. This plan is great. My question to you is regarding the low-income units versus the fair value. Are they incorporated in the same building, or are they separate building? In other words, is low-income one building, fair value another building?
It will be truly integrated and segregated they will be integrated throughout the development.
You got 10 units in one building, it'll be maybe 5 and 5.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
And that's something we push for. That one was a sticking point, but
yes.
Do you have your
push
hand up, Mr. Pesquet?
I mean, in the last few years, we have been extremely particular. So whether it's 1,300 units that are being developed or 30 units, we ensure that every affordable unit that is created is well integrated. From the outside, it looks exactly like a market rate unit. So that has been a pet peeve.
Mr. Pesquetti?
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Nice job. My simple question on the 4-story building. We don't have a lot of 4 stories in Old Bridge. Is that right? I mean, we have the hospital. That's 5.
Right. The idea was that, this area is very close to our other redevelopment sites. There is significant amount of environmental constraints, wetlands that can shield and buffer. And the 4-story is not throughout the development. It is only restricted to the 4 buildings along Schumeister so that we create a vista or a boulevard-like effect, but that's the extent of it. The rest of the buildings throughout the development are going to be no more than 3 stories.
Right. And there's no issue.
And the advantage with that is that we will get more open space, because if we keep it limited to 2 stories, then we have to compromise on the open space, which I don't think we should, and plus the impervious coverage that goes along with it. So the idea was to consolidate it, make it slightly higher, but at the same time create more open space. If you notice the buildings, and again, this is not the final product, so when the actual buildings are done, they will be much nicer, but the idea will be to make them look, because you can do a lot of things with the elevation to reduce the appearance of a tall 4-story building. For example, I was discussing with the designer that at the corner, it should wrap around or have like more glass so that it gives more openness and you don't feel the bulk of it. You should have at the corner the rental office so that it has more of the glass look. So there are things you can work around with the buildings so that they don't look very massive.
Right. And there's no issue with fire, right? Because
only 4 stories.
I'm sorry?
It's only 4 stories we will not have. And again, before I finalize the ordinance, the idea is I have suggested to them that they should have a meeting with the fire official to go over any concerns they may have before they file an application in front of the planning board. So that is something in working as well.
Thank you.
Yes, I just want to reiterate some of the things that were said before and then add to it. It is very frustrating when you are dealing with something that was approved many years ago, nearly 30 years ago. We had nothing to do with it. Nothing, no one on this council, no one on the planning boards, no one on the zoning boards here voted for this development. But when that happens, it is frustrating that the state, I don't know why, if it doesn't make it that the general development plan, if you don't build in, once it was approved, if you don't build in a certain amount of time, you have to come back. Things change, the infrastructure, other buildings surrounding it, it makes it more complex. We are hearing, as people ride down Route 9, as we first saw it too, and it's very upsetting to us all when we see trees coming down, we think of the animals, the deers, everything that were displaced. But this is something we had nothing to do with it. The Brunettis have owned this land for a long time. They got the general development plan. There's been many lawsuits, and that has cost the town a fortune, especially the lawsuits with the MUA when the MUA is trying to fight it. There's a lot of details involved with that. But with that said, I appreciate you taking the time to go around town and look at things in this day and age, how we can improve on it. What was done then, we can't change it. We have to live by the laws, and we can make it better. So by doing it this way, you are certainly making it more aesthetically pleasing. You're allowing more buffers, more green space, more walking spaces, and I think it is a positive. But I want everyone to realize when you go down Route 9, when you're in shock seeing trees go down, we are also, but this is what was approved 30 years ago, and it's nothing with lawsuits. And I would have to say, years ago, there was an open space referendum that was done. We tried to bring it back. It was voted down. With that, we could have bought more open space. But this land was already bought, and also sometimes the person who owns land doesn't want to sell it. They have a right to build, and as long as it goes along with the zoning. So I would say this, as far as the planner here, the engineer, the administration, all of us on the council, we always try to get the most benefit from it for infrastructure being put in. You just saw heard the mayor say that we're getting $3,000 a unit to put into other recreation. So we try the best. You try to make a bad situation the best it can. But this is how it is, and I would think that this plan is much better than seeing rows of literally barracks that would be spread out and would not have all the amenities and all the green spaces between it. So that is what we're faced with, and I think you've made a remarkable improvement for what you had to work with. Thank you.
I also want to thank you for all the hard work. It's not easy when you're given a task like this, because basically you want to say nothing, but you can't, and you have to just, try to make the improvements that you can and work for the town, giving us the best scenario possible. And I know there's going to be a lot of, people saying different things about this, but at the end of the day, John Brunetti owned that property, and I was here, I'm sure a lot of us were, when that was approved, that planning board approved that GDP. So we are stuck with this situation, and we have to face it. We can't kick the can down the highway anymore because he sold, and it's time for us to, realize what's going on and do the best we can to make the best plan possible for the town. So it's not an easy task. Thank you very much.
Just one thing about the 3-bedroom. One thing that I've seen, and not just here, but in other towns as well, where there's actually been a move to a 3rd bedroom. And really, one of the rationale is that more people are working from home, and they're actually using it as an office, and because of that fact. And given the proximity that, Old Bridge is in New York City, and obviously 3 bedrooms are more expensive, right? So the likelihood that it's more likely you're going to have a younger family who have the ability and the wherewithal to make the pay, and typically they'll use that extra bedroom as an office, and that's one of the things that developers have been seeing over there, more recently, especially since COVID.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the presentation.
So we'll have the ordinance for introduction at the next meeting.
Okay. Next meeting. No.
Just in case. I guess in the future now.
Well, it'll be, no.
Figure out when.
We need some.
It'll be the
time
near
to
future,
digest
but
everything.
you're right. Right.
We need to digest this a little.
It's not as much as we like to think. It's not that easy drafting a zoning ordinance, and then there's all notice requirements and like that. So, yeah.
Report of the township clerk.
No report, Council President.
Thank you. Township attorney report.
No, Madam President, thank you.
Okay. Administrative report, Mr. Shah.
Yes. Today is a short report, though. Only one-sided, 5 items. Good evening, Council President. Thank you. Administrative report for February 28, 2023. Item 1, Menino Park Synthetic Turf Athletic Fields. On January 31st, 2023, bids from 7 contractors were received for Menino Park Synthetic Turf Athletic Fields. Precise Construction, Inc. was the lowest qualified bidder with a base bid plus alternate of $5,446,491. The scope of work for this project include construction of 3 baseball fields. That includes 1 synthetic illuminated baseball field and 2 synthetic turf illuminated softball fields. A parking lot, ADA compliance, public sidewalk, curb ramps, a stormwater management facility, concrete walking paths, and landscaping. The construction is anticipated to take approximately 9 months. Award of this contract was awarded by the council tonight on consent agenda, with the construction anticipated to start spring of 2023. And this is a much-needed project. We want to move the Sherwood South field, fields where there's a lot of flooding issues. So this was a very important project for us to move forward. Item number 2, 2022 Annual Drainage Improvement Program. On February 20, 2023, Massacola Excavating Company, Inc. began drainage improvement on Ledge Terrace. The contractor also include the following additional roadways: Gordon Road, Hickory Court, Schoolhouse Lane, Leaf Lane, Fernwood Place, Stevens Avenue, Craigton Circle, West Alton Place, Arthur Street, Crescent Road, Morgan Avenue, and Pension Road. Construction is anticipated to take 3 months to complete. Item number 3, 2022 Annual Curb Replacement Program. On March 5th, 2023, weather permitting, Lancha Construction Corp. will begin curb replacement for the 2022 annual curb replacement program on the following roads: Edinburgh Circle, Jersey Avenue, Southwood Drive, Terrell Road, and York Street. Construction is anticipated to take 1 to 2 months to complete. Item number 4, Paint and Bulb Day. The next Paint and Fluorescent Bulb Day will be Saturday, March 11th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon at the Recycling Drop-Off Center. Please visit oldbridge.com/recycling for a list of accepted items. Item number 5, Middlesex County Pepper Shed. The 2023 Middlesex County Pepper Shed event will be held on Sunday, March 26th at the Municipal Complex from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. This event is open to all Middlesex County residents and will be held rain or shine. Visit oldbridge.com/recycling for more detail. That concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you. Does anyone have a comment or a question for Mr. Shaw? Mrs. Walker.
Yes, the lighting at Menino, does that also include the lighting at the pickleball courts? Because I thought they were going to put the light on the pole, same poles.
Nicole, lighting at the pickleball court is not part of this project. No, it's not. We'll be working on that separately, because this was a bid specs that we couldn't change on that, but we'll be working on the lighting at the pickleball court.
They're going to be in this year, though, sometime.
I believe so.
Well, you'll find out and get back to her, right? Let her know. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a comment or a question? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Move it.
Okay, moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Dr. Greenberg-Bella.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg-Bella?
Yes.
Councilperson Murphy?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquini?
Yes.
Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Shaw. Okay, next will be public comment on any subject matter for a maximum period of 3 minutes. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to come up and be heard? No? Oh, yes, ma'am, come forward. One. Yeah. Did you read 3 minutes?
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. This section is open for any topic or items in the consent agenda in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the Old Bridge Rules of Council. The council asks the public to limit their comments to 3 minutes or less. Only one member of the public should approach and speak to council at a time. The council will respect the public's time by refraining any comment until the speaker has finished with their allotted time. It should be further noted that public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has a question they seek answers to, they can make an appointment can be made with the corresponding department's office during regular business hours. The township clerk will regulate the time during the comment portion of our meeting.
Thank you. Good evening.
Okay. Nina Jochnowitz, West Greystone Road. Okay, oh wait, my eyes are going. First of all, I wanted to congratulate Vina for attempting to make some good changes. Thank you very much. Vina, that was a great presentation. I think that we all can agree that there needs to be changes. Segregation is not acceptable in this time period. I'm even sure Brunetti's family would agree with that. That said, well, you said that segregation of the housing had changed. What I was still seeing was apartments segregated from the townhouses. Are there no townhouses that are being decided to be low or affordable? Is there no affordable housing in the townhouse area? Okay, so the question is for you guys to consider. It doesn't look like there's any affordable housing in the townhouses, and I think that that was something that was an oversight. And the other part to that is that why is it that the townhouses and the single homes seem to be really close to the country club, right? However, it looks like all the apartments, all of them, whether or not they're affordable or not affordable housing, are the furthest away. It looks like that to the drawing. And now, of course, this is still a work in progress, and I know that, but while it's a work in progress, it'd be nice to see some changes. I was going to mention to Mrs. Walker that the pickleball court's lighting, I was thinking about what you were saying. The Menino Park is closed at sundown. So unless they're changing the sundown, sunrise gates being locked, I'm surprised that there's going to be lighting. And if there is, I hope that they're going to be using solar panels to light the park. That said, I think that was about it. Oh, I wanted to ask how much money each apartment was going to be providing. I know the $3,000 one-time gift by the developer, how nice of them, but I'm wondering how much money, tax money, is going to be brought in from each apartment, 3-bedroom versus 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom, annually. I think that's pretty important to most of us. And finally, one of the more important things as well, while you're doing this, you know, the state of New Jersey has tried to create a 2035 zero greenhouse gas production and go to zero. What are we doing to do that? Is it possible that you can add to the development of that solar paneling or geothermal or, you know, hot water heating supplemented by solar sources? And that was really it. Anyway, thank you very much. You guys, good job, Vina.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else, ma'am? Did you wish to come up and speak? Good evening. How are you? If you can just give your name for the record, please.
Terry Rafferty, Midsummer Drive, Old Bridge. I just would like to comment on the transition plan for Camp Robin to the Community Services Department. And I'm still a little sketchy on the details. This is the first I heard. I only heard about the proposal at 5 o'clock tonight. So, and as we all know, the PowerPoint was a little vague in terms of that organizational chart. So I really need to let the council know that we need to move slowly on this. There has been no communication with the parent community, which has been essential to the growth of the Camp Robin programs. This has been done in a vacuum. Based on my own experience in either work or in township affairs, something is always done to save money or to address a personnel issue. And I don't know which one it is in this situation. So I just want to bring that to your attention. We could not see the organizational chart. I want to know what's the experience, what's the rationale for moving the Camp Robin programs out of the inclusive park and recreation programs into a division that includes the food bank and the senior center. This is not including the young people. We are told that the program started at the age of 5. That's not right. The programs start at the age of 3 for special education. So we already have a little bit of a vacuum in terms of knowledge, in terms of what's going on here. We were told that this is going to advance the programs, it's going to improve the programs, but to be perfectly honest with you, the plans are very vague. I don't know what, we were given no assurances about what was going to happen there. On paper, this segregates the special education population from the general education population. Now, we understood when, you know, there was a whole transition when Pete Piero became sick. We moved over, and we were patient with the transition that was taking place in the rec department. But I have to tell you, there has been very little communication in terms of what the plans are with the Parks and Rec department. So I think we've got to really include the communication. We're told that owing the inclusion and the direction of the programs, and this is a direct quote, will continue regardless of what's said on the organizational chart. Well, then why are we changing what's on the organizational chart if that's not what we're going to be doing in practice? I don't quite understand that. There were no concrete plans for improvement of the programs, and you know, I respectfully disagree. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't move it. Why? That's my comment. So please consider the plans and move very slowly.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. there anyone else in the audience who wishes to be heard? Good evening.
Vinny Galgano, the president of Old Bridge PBA Local 127. I just want to take an opportunity to thank the mayor and those council members that came out to our SIP and Support event a couple weeks ago at the Palms Plaza. You know, I think it was a great event. I think everybody had a good time. And as all of you know, that you know, we're big sponsors in the township with the Little Leagues, the food bank. We sponsor a lot of things with the food bank, scholarships to the school. A lot of money that we raised that night will go towards those things in the town, and we continue to sponsor our programs. So again, we want to thank you for coming out and supporting the event, and we continue to look forward to building relationship with you guys this year and for the years to come. So thank you for coming out. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was a great event. Is there anyone else in the public?
Nellie Shoham. I live in Old Bridge. I have a daughter with Down syndrome. We have been living here for over 35 years, and for 35 years she has been a participant of Camp Robin. This has become to a shock for all of us because nothing was mentioned, nothing was, no parent was informed about this or asked about how we felt about it. Segregation sounds like the perfect word for this. And really, I think a lot of parents are very hurt. They're not here because of this short notice. The fact that you're talking about community services and that other towns have done it, 4 other towns have done it, let me tell you, a few days ago, I spoke with a parent in Manalapan who happened to do the same thing. And they have been very upset and they have not been able to change anything, but nothing is working. So I suggest you to please check it out everywhere, restudy these. But our kids do not belong with silver linings, food banks, or municipal alliance. Our kids belong to parks and recreation with the other children. And in another thing, the apartments that are being built, not just that development, but other developments that are being done in here. I'm sure that you all know that the amount of kids with disabilities in Old Bridge is enormous. Housing does not exist for them. I sincerely ask you to please, if you could ask developers to allocate certain amount of apartments, particularly for kids, individuals with disabilities. That means wider hallways, lower countertops, etc., that our kids now need it and that they will be needed much more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to be heard?
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi, Diane Michael, Old Bridge. I also want to echo what the other 2 moms had said. I'm also a special needs mom. I try to work collaboratively with the district, with the township. I'm also the president of our SEPTA. This does come to a surprise to me as well. I have a typical son and a special needs daughter. It's kind of concerning that my son will be under one spectrum, but my daughter is now under another. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. But it's very upsetting. Now my daughter's a community service. 4 of those towns, sorry, it's a public speaking thing. 4 of those towns that were mentioned in the presentation, I believe one is in New Jersey, the other in California, and Timbuktu. I don't know. I also see, I've been mentioning to Matt Mercurio that Special Projects for Special Children is listed as a non-for-profit under the township. So I've been looking at their 990s, and they have quite a big chunk of money, approximately almost $300,000 they have raised for Camp Robin in Old Bridge. It's listed all over your website. So I just want to know, how are you tapping into $300,000 for Camp Robin as a non-for-profit that raises money in Old Bridge through our Elks and all our amazing businesses? She's raised almost $300,000, and I don't know if our kids are seeing that money. I was wondering if everybody could look into that. And again, I'm going to think about everything and write you an email. But thank you.
Much. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to be heard? No? Okay, seeing no more hands, I will close the public portion, and thank you, everyone. Council comments?
Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes, thank you. I just want to thank everyone that got up to speak. I think it's really, really important that we hear the concerns of all the residents and parents moving forward, so that everyone can make, the best decision possible for the students and the residents in general, students, everyone. So thank you for for sharing your views, and I'm sure that all will be taken into consideration. Also to the PBA, Vinny, we had a great time at the Sip and Support. It was a really great event, so thank you guys for putting that on. Lastly, it's already the end of February 2023. Pretty soon it's going to be summer. This year is flying, and I would be remiss if I did not recognize the end of Black History Month. I was at a board meeting, Board of Education meeting, the last one that we had, and we had a group of amazing young women get up and speak, and they formed a committee, a committee or a club, that's the word. And they call it, the name of the club is the Black Student Senate. And they got up and spoke on how they are trying to organize themselves. They've gone down to the elementary schools to talk to the younger students, so that, and one of the things that stood out to me that they said was so that they can see someone that looked like them, and I thought it was just such a really great thing that they did. And I'm hoping that we continue to move forward and make sure that everyone feels represented. On that note, I would love it. I know we have a lot of volunteer boards and committees on the township, and I would love it if we had a township DEI committee, diversity, equity, inclusion committee. I'm sure that we could get a lot of support from and have a collaborative experience with, our school district and the township to collaborate and see if we can create more, just more awareness and knowledge. Not to say that anybody is doing anything wrong right now, absolutely not. But I was in a meeting last night, and there was a presentation, and it was entitled Changing Course, Advancing Racial Equity and Justice in the Law and Voter Engagement. And it was a wonderful presentation, and it talked about how far we've come in New Jersey, but it also talked about how far we still need to go. So, in light of the end of Black History Month, I just wanted to, talk about that. And, I would love to have more of have a diversity, equity, inclusion committee to, on the township side, because I know they do have one on the school district side, and I would love to have that on the township side and see if we can collaborate together, because we're all one Old Bridge. So, and that is all for me. Thank you.
Councilperson De Palma?
So to echo Officer Galgano, the PBA event was great. It was great to see everyone out there. Looking forward to future events with you guys. So a couple things. Earlier today, I had the pleasure of going over to Sandburg. There was the Old Bridge Arts Festival. So it was district-wide. We had, whether it was band, choir, the different plays that are happening. It's a great event. It was packed. I'm sure our OEM can attest to that. But it was great to see all the kids out, whether they were singing, whether they were playing their instruments. I mean, I was there. My daughter is in the McDivitt band, so it was great to see all those kids out there smiling, being able to perform for their parents and friends. And also some of the art that was picked was great. So, as we kind of move forward and as we see these, hopefully more, we can get more folks out next year, maybe to a bigger venue or at a different time where it's not as clustered. I know there was some challenges with parking just because of the venue, but I think it was an absolute great event, and seeing all those kids smile was phenomenal. And finally, just two congratulations. One to the Old Bridge High School cheerleaders on your win this past weekend at States. Great job, girls. And also congratulations to the Old Bridge Junior Knights. So there's a lot of wins. Sergeant Doctors is one of the coaches, so congratulations, sir, on your team and the rest of the teams as well, and all the great wins that you guys are having, and good luck going forward. I think one of our teams was 22-0, if I'm not mistaken. So absolute phenomenal for those young men. Besides that, I hope everyone has a wonderful end of the spring, beginning of the spring. I know, for Casey and folks, we didn't have to worry about any snow, but my child was disappointed and very upset that there was no snow on the ground when she woke up. I was happy that they didn't have a delayed opening or they weren't home, but I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and see you in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes, thank you. I also want to thank the mothers for coming out today. Everybody on this day we feel your concerns. We hear your concerns. So we will definitely get back to you. We hear everything. We feel for you guys. Now with the PBA. Vin, thank you for the invitation. I just have one minor complaint. I don't drink wine. I don't really drink shots. Can we get some more beer? I went for beer. She gave me a shot of beer. I've never had a shot of beer. But thank you. And he's right. We should support our police. We have to support our police. So thank you, guys. Also, the Town Square Publications, I want to thank them for their checks and then donation to the Camp Robin and the OB Municipal Alliance. So thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg-Belli.
Yes. I would like to thank the Old Bridge Elks Lodge number 2229 for hosting the wonderful charity ball this past Saturday night, and the work and the fundraising the Elks does for our special needs children. It's truly incredible and much appreciated. It was a fun event, and it's amazing to see, really everyone coming together and celebrating, especially Victoria Fowler, who was the Ambassador of the Year. She is truly a ray of sunshine, and her family's wonderful. Victoria is a superstar. She plays soccer, basketball, swims, dances, and she also has a small craft business together with her sister. It's called Loomed with Love, and that makes certain handcrafted items, and she donates a percentage of her earnings to nonprofit organizations. And Victoria is a superstar and has $1 million smile. She is truly amazing. This year, the Citizen of the Honor went to Deborah Consalves, and Miss Consalves is another superstar. She has taught in Old Bridge for the past 33 years, teaching children with special needs. She created a new protocol for the study team to use during evaluations, and was chosen to create the first applied behavioralist analysis classroom in Old She created a disability awareness program called PALS, which is Playing and Learning in School. She also started parent involvement activity days where the parents can come in and interact with their kids on a monthly basis with their students. She also created a Panda Park, which is a sensory playground also. She also has created TADA, which is a theater for adapted for different disabilities. And in short, that is truly incredible for one person to have the foresight, the initiative, the compassion, the dedication, the tenacity to do all that. I enjoyed speaking with her. She is truly incredible and amazing. We are so fortunate to have her also accept the position as Camp Robin coordinator. It is remarkable to think of all the lives she has touched during those 33 years, not only the children that she came in contact, but made a difference for the families, for the parents, and it's truly amazing that an individual takes that on. I was in awe. Still am. I can't stop talking about her and Victoria. Thank you so much.
Councilperson Murphy.
Yes, thank you. I said a lot of rough things about Anita last week. I will not even watch the tape. The next day I went to the doctors and I had ascites. Anita's probably one knows what that means, but I'm not making an excuse for there. What I did tell my fiance is that I'm not going to complain about her anymore at any of the meetings. You know, I might argue with her on a point, but I'm not going to complain about her. I got a call from a detective on Tuesday. She wanted to.
So, John, Mr. Councilman Murphy, so again, the purpose of I was hoping I didn't have to say this, and I've said this I don't know how many occasions. The purpose of council comments is not to comment on individuals. It's not to attack individuals. And it's, I know, well, I know. So I'm not sure to the extent that there's the fact that you were contacted by an investigator. I think it would not be appropriate, because I'm not sure what you're going to say. I don't know that it'd be appropriate to talk about that. I think to the extent that you recognize statements that you made about Councilman Greenberg Belli were over the top, probably an apology would be appropriate. But and I've had this discussion with the council president. Council comments, and I've said this over the years, are just that. You've had how many speakers before you? They all made appropriate comments. There's a provision that this council is governed by Robert's rules, and we have an ordinance in place. Ad hominem attacks, means personal attacks, talking about individuals is not appropriate. And I apologize to Dr. Greenberg, and I should have shut you down last meeting.
So I can't apologize?
You can apologize to her. All right. Well, that's I simply say I'm sorry. That's a good thing. But I think going beyond that and talking about any discussions you may have had with investigators wouldn't be appropriate. So let's just keep it to those types of comments and keep the personal aspects and personal attacks out of it. Because in the future, we're not going. It's going to stop. We've gone down this road before. We're just, and I've told the council president, we'll just, if need be, we'll just adjourn the meeting at the point. But I just don't think getting into personalities is appropriate for council comments. It's not appropriate under Robert's rules. So I just want to put that out there.
That was all I had to say. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Councilperson Pasquini.
Yes, thank you. I just want to correct the record because last session, I didn't get a chance to speak. There were some things said. Mr. Murphy mentioned a number of things that were just not true. So I wanted to correct the record that there were falsities last council meeting. Thank you.
Are we good?
Councilperson Walker?
Yes, I'd like to also thank the mothers for coming tonight. I really appreciate all your input. We're all parents up here too. And we have the love of a parent for their child. We know that. And we are listening to you and your concerns, and we're definitely going to look into it. And we would never let Camp Robin not be the best for your children. Also, thank you, Vinny, for inviting us to the Sip and Serve. We had a great time, even though I don't drink. I did win a TV, though, 55-inch TV. I do watch TV. And also, I had the privilege of going to the Elks Charity Ball as well. We had a wonderful time. It was just a wonderful event. We go every year, and it's just amazing. And we had a really great time. And let's all just have a wonderful spring. I'm so glad we had no snow. Sorry, Casey. I know he's been looking for snow, but and the poor kids, they didn't get any snow days this year. But I'm glad I didn't have to shovel. Have a happy spring.
Okay.
I made no mistruths.
So again, Council Murphy, you are
didn't
not,
even say his
you are,
opinion. He
you are
didn't
not, you are not recognized.
She
You're not-
did. She
You are
recognized.
not recognized. You
just like
had,
Mary.
you are not recognized. You've had your comments. All right? You've had your comment.
Yeah, but he told
Councilman Murphy, again, if necessary, I'm not going to do this. I'll tell the council president, call for a motion to adjourn, and that's what we'll do. It is only February. I've had this discussion over the last 10 years, I don't know how many times, more times than I should. If you want me to be a referee, I'll be a referee. I'm not an elected official, I'm an attorney. It's not the attorney's role to control the meetings, but I'll control it, and believe me, if I have to be a referee, I'll be a referee. It's done. Council comment, we're not going to proceed that way. We've been down this road. It's not appropriate. No one should make any personal attacks. I think Councilman Biscotti wanted to correct the record. Statements that were made, that were ascribed to him, he wanted to correct the record, said it wasn't correct. Done. It's over. The issue's done.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Council President.
Before we finish, I just want to also reassure the parents that are here, the moms, that we are looking into this. Nothing was done without, we had here, we're going to listen to everything. And I mean, I've been with Camp Robin too, from Claire Young and Barbara Anderson. I mean, it's been a work in progress and of love all these years. And we never would allow, anything to not be there for you. So please, I don't want you to go home with any misconception. Well, no, listen, it's a tough life. Debbie said we're all parents, and I'm even a grandparent now, to my excitement. But yeah. But no, we would never do that. We will definitely look into everything and make sure that everyone feels comfortable and their opinion is recognized. And definitely, we will do that.
Madam President, if I could, just so you're aware, and I do have a son with Down syndrome as well. So to the extent they can certainly ask me, because I live the same life you all do, so.
Not about that.
Which is a good one.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yep. Okay, so with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, John made the motion, and second by Debbie.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli? Councilperson Murphy? Yes. Yes. Councilperson Pasquitti? Councilperson Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar? Motion adjourned at 9:33